Folks, I have figured out kind of how to defeat self-checkout. We're going to talk about that plus your comments next. How you doing, folks? So I'm going to start with this story. Uh, true story, by the way. It just happened yesterday. Miss Nation's still kind of pissed about this, but I'm going to let you know how to defeat self-checkout when your spouse tries to go to the dark side. So we're in Food City yesterday. Admittedly, they were busy, okay? And so self-checkout, I guess, seemed like the saving grace. But there were people over at self-checkout too. Um, my wife's like, "I'm doing it." And I'm like, "Please don't. You don't want to do this." It's kind of like Star Wars. Self-checkout is holding the hand out saying, "Just come to the dark side. Join me and we'll rule together." My wife's looking over there and I'm like little Yoda over here saying, "Don't do it, son." So she does it. She goes over to self-checkout. She's like, "I'm not waiting in line." You know, Again, they were busy. So she starts self-checking. I'm like, "Do I just stand here and let this happen, or do I try and fight it? Do I do something to try and fight it? How can I make sure this doesn't happen again?" So she's scanning stuff, and self-checkout, the one at this Food City at least has a woman's voice. And she's like, "Please scan," it's a robotic voice or whatever. "Please scan your whatever Food City coupon or Savers card," or whatever. And y'all let me know in the chat if I was right or wrong for doing this. But I jumped back like it scared me. And then I got my face was literally like right up into the thing. This is in front of other people. And I'm like, "Oh my God, somebody is in there." So I get down, true story, promise you. I get down beside the machine. And by this time, my wife is mortified. I get down beside the machine and I start saying, "Are you okay in there?" And I'm knocking on the side of the machine, listening for a knockback and so the cashier comes over to make sure everything's okay. And I'm like, somebody is in there talking to me. And my wife completes the self-checkout process, but she's mortified at this point. As we were leaving, her face was red. Again, she's still pissed over it. She was like, "I will never do that again when you were with me." I'm like, "Good, mission accomplished." Y'all let me know if I'm right or wrong on doing that, but it seemed to have worked. Welcome to the rundown. I think this is episode 3, right? Gonna be 5 days a week. Your comments, your thoughts. This is your show. We're just going over comments from the live stream this morning where we were talking about winter. We were talking about the new gun violence czar in Kamala Harris and the government shutdown. So, gonna start with the live chat crowd, okay? And I write these things down so I don't get it mixed up, okay? Dark Angel. It's only a conspiracy theory until it's not. Great comment. You would not believe. I get so much hate for talking about conspiracy theories on the channel. I really do. Saying son, I get hate for that. I get hate for my southern slang. Neither of those I can help, by the way. I catch myself getting ready to say the word son sometimes and I'll back it off. But the conspiracy stuff, to me, um, there's a lot of merit there. And it's stuff I guess a lot of people are either scared to talk about as a creator, and I do have to kinda stay between the lines so I don't get slammed by YouTube, but to me, it's important stuff that affects everybody, and, if it's something really outlandish and I've not seen any kind of evidence whatsoever, I try not to speak on it, but on the on some of the things when I've seen evidence and I know this stuff is out there, yeah, I'll speak on it a little bit, and I know that the hateful comments are coming for that, but thank you for leaving this because it lets me know at least some people get the bigger picture, and I appreciate that comment. Norel the Younger, here's a perfect example. Norel the Younger said in chat this morning, a lot of weather manipulation going on. We were talking about how winter is supposed to be rough this year, and it is, according to the farmers almanac. Whew, string them 2 together. So, again, perfect example. This is something that I've seen evidence of. All right. HARP, and then there's another program that's even more advanced than HARP. I don't know the name right off, but they do have this technology. Personally, I do believe that there's weather manipulation going on. Now, I'm not gonna look at every single snowstorm, every single hurricane and say that's exactly what happened, but some of it is happening, and I get it, conspiracy theorists, right? But some of it is happening, and, the evidence of these programs is out there, and so when I look at that, it's no longer a theory, it's just a conspiracy at that point. Excellent comment, thank you. Black Hat Whirligig had an excellent idea that I've actually never considered. We were talking about it was at the point during the live stream when we were chatting about sealing off doors and windows and things, and I've seen a lot of stuff. I mean, again, duct tape is a big one around these parts. I've seen, as I was saying, the foam tape and stuff that you use on air conditioning window units and things, and I've seen the wool blankets. I use the wool blankets. But, Black Cat Whirligig said bubble wrap, and I'm like, "That's an excellent prep, actually," because it seems like again, I've never put it to use, but it seems like it would insulate well if you could get this stuff around the edge of a door or a window or something like that. So, excellent comment, thank you for that. Sean, 2002, we were talking about, the Great Rescue Plan by Joe Biden, and he put in chat, "The Great American Disassembly Plan." I couldn't have put it better myself because it seems like looking at the body of work, that's exactly what it has done. Um, no president that we have ever had is perfect by any means or stretch of the imagination. But if you look at our country under Joe Biden, it literally feels like it's a disassembly plan. It seems like he was put into office to just tear down everything that made America America and put us at such a weakened state. Just raise everything to the ground basically so something new could be built up. And it seems like that's exactly what's going on. Now, again, that can be a conspiracy theory, but it seems to make sense to me because even at his stage in life and even with the medical conditions I think he's dealing with, nobody is that stupid. Joe Biden has to have moments of clarity in between the pants pooping and stuff, right? There has to be moments where he can think rationally and coherently, even just for a couple of minutes at a time, to where he would say, it doesn't really make sense to become more energy dependent on other countries, for example. And that's one of many examples. It doesn't really make sense to go after propane because a lot of people use propane to heat their homes. He's got to have this clarity where he's like, everybody at the World Economic Forum, the WEF as we call it, they're flying on private planes to this thing. And these planes are tearing the environment up much more than somebody using a lawnmower, gas powered lawnmower. So if he realizes this, if he does have these moments of clarity and he's still executing this agenda, again, it makes me think, excellent comment, Sean, that it's a disassembly plan. And if he's in there to disassemble the United States of America, you could argue that we've never had a president do a better job than Joe Biden. Nathan Green said, "We are paying to lose our freedoms." It's sad, but that's a very truthful comment. That's how I feel as well. People will say, and it was left a couple of times this morning, just stop paying taxes. Well, I don't know how to do that without going to prison. If I knew how to do that, if somebody could follow that comment up with a way to stop paying taxes without going to prison, I'm all ears. I'm mostly ears anyway, son, to be honest with you, but I'm all ears because I don't enjoy paying a lot of taxes and watching the government uh, put me in the corner and hate me and label me as a bad person. while putting everybody else in front of me, it seems like, even other countries at this point. So it does feel like we are paying to lose our freedoms because the government is not working for us. I think this much is obvious. Even your radical right wing, they, whatever. I get a kick out of the fact that they're slowing down the disassembly plan, but they're not there for us. They're not working for us either. And I'm not illusioned enough to think that they are. Lita knows, and about 1,000 others in chat, quite frankly, said shut it down. Just shut the government down. When you look at the government like a business, which is how the government views itself, no business is going to continue to operate with $33 trillion in debt and do the same things. They're not, it's not going to be business as usual. Governments, businesses would have stepped in a long time ago and made changes from the top down, streamlined it, completely changed the way they're doing things. Perfect example would be Bud Light. Okay. Not a Bud Light drinker, but they've lost money, and Disney too. They've lost so much money that they finally started to realize this ain't working. This whole wokeness deal is not working. So they've went in, they've replaced CEOs, they've replaced brand ambassadors on down the line. With Bud Light, they went from having dude on a can pretending to be something he's not to military themed cans with the American flag and country music commercials. At least they're trying to do it a different way. Our government doesn't even, they don't do that. They just business as usual. So yeah, let it shut down. If you're going to continue to do a bad job, we don't need you anyway. You know what I'm saying? Shut it down. Stop taking my money. We'll figure it out on our own. When leadership is bad, look at it from the standpoint of a mag because preppers, right? If it becomes blatantly obvious, the people running your mag don't give a crap about the people within the mag. And they're just there to fill their own pockets. They're eating the best, you're eating gruel. At some point, the people within that mag got to be like, we could go and we could do it better ourselves instead of having tyrants in charge of us. So, I mean, yeah, shut it down. The replay crowd, let's jump over to the replay crowd now. The Shady Zone, Jim Shady. And I'm paraphrasing because it was a long comment, brother. But he was basically saying he's been a government employee during a government shutdown. And what ends up happening is these people, they get to go home, but they're going to be paid their back pay when the government finally opens back up. So a lot of government employees are just looking at this as a paid vacation. We get 2 or 3 weeks off. We're going to get that money in 2 or 3 weeks. In the meantime, we're just going to have fun with it. And you don't want to see anybody go without getting paid. That's not the point I'm trying to make here, but you also don't want it to feel like a vacation because there's no bite. It's not as significant at that point. It's just like a whatever burger. Well, the government's shutting down, whatever. It should be a very bad thing, a very bad sign that our government either threatens to or does shut down every 6 months. This means we got serious issues. And people looking at it as a paid vacation, which I would probably do in the same situation, isn't going to change anything. It isn't going to enact any kind of change. But that was an excellent comment. Thank you for that. Windflower, taxpayers should be the priority. Preach it. And that's the biggest issue with our government right now. We're not. Taxpayers are not the priority. We're not even in the top 10. It seems like everything in our country is the priority except the people that are working to fund the country. Um, Getting back to what I was saying, paying taxes and then being put in a corner, and having to watch TV commercials where it's obvious that they hate people like me. Maybe it's the way I look, maybe it's the way I talk, whatever. Maybe it's the fact that I'm a Christian or a conservative. They just don't like people like me. They're okay with taking my money, but they don't want anything else to do with me. I'm not a priority. And so that sucks. That sucks when you're funding the government and they're looking right through you and they see the illegals behind you and they're like, "Let's help them out." And they're looking over here and they see Ukrainians and they're like, "Let's help them out." Let's send aid to this country or this country or this country. Let's support people financially that haven't worked in 30 years. You know, and they're out there. People think I'm being mean about that, but no. There are people out there that have not worked in decades. You can't tell me that they've been looking for a job for 30 years and haven't been able to find some kind of gainful employment. It may not be the dream job that they actually want, but there are ways to go about that too. If you want a dream job, you need to get qualified for it. There are jobs out there where you can go to a trade school for a few months and make six figures. Boy, I wish I would have known that when I was 20 years old, just saying. But taxpayers should be the priority. They're not. And that's what's wrong with our government. And until we fix that, and I don't know how we fix that. I don't know if we march on DC and run them out. I don't know if again, if there's a way for everybody just not to pay taxes and collapse it. I don't know how we do it, but we need to find a way. Kathy MC, sometimes the boss won't let you leave early. So she left more with this comment, and I'll explain. We were talking about the weather SHTFs and how people will rush out a couple of hours or maybe an hour before the blizzard hits and they'll stockpile toilet paper. Toilet paper, got to have it, right? Never understood it. But anyway, she's saying that as a prepper, this is just another reason to have what you need early on because you may work at a job where the boss sees that a blizzard is coming and they're just not going to let you leave early. And in my younger years, I ran into this a couple of times. I wasn't a prepper then, but you're kind of sitting around like, there's 6 inches of snow on the ground. They're calling for 18 more, and I'm driving a Hyundai, son. At what point can I leave this place making minimum wage? Are you kidding me right now? But some bosses just they won't hear of it. So by the time they do let you leave, you're lucky if you can get home alive. You don't have time to stop and pick up the scraps that were left behind by the hoarders, so to speak. And so, very smart comment. She's saying this is just one of the many, many reasons to prepare ahead of time. Frank Moses, have you priced wool anything lately? He was saying, dude, you'll break the bank. What are you talking about? Have you? Because I was saying it won't break the bank. Get you some wool, get you all this stuff. And he's like, "No, man, wool's expensive right now and hard to find. What are you talking about?" In my defense, fair comment, but Frank, in my defense, the wool that I have, I bought years ago. And I was on this channel years ago saying, get wool blankets, get wool, whatever you can get, back when it wasn't that hard to find and it wouldn't break the bank. So if people haven't done it by now, if they didn't listen to, several videos where I'm like, get you some wool blankets while they're 20 bucks. Here's a link or whatever. Or even, hit your thrift stores. If they didn't do it, they didn't take the initiative to do it. And they're sitting here in 2023. That's on them. That's not my problem. When I bought it, it was affordable. Debbie Hopper, 43 people in Buffalo last year got caught and didn't make it. Talking about on the roads. And this happens. And it's so avoidable. You know what I mean? People get stuck in their cars and they freeze. They literally freeze to death. I know last year, I want to say it was near DC, guys, but that might not be correct. But it was somewhere up in Northern Virginia, I think. Thousands of people were stranded on the sides of the road, and a lot of people were in the electric vehicles. And that was an issue because they were low on charge, and so they couldn't heat the car for very long. And again, they're wearing shorts and a tank top when there's a blizzard coming and they have nothing to heat themselves with or anything. It's just totally avoidable, especially if you're taking care of business now. You know, it takes 30 minutes to an hour to put together a bag that's going to bail you out of that situation and keep you alive. and it doesn't take up a lot of space, in a trunk or a hatch or something like that. So, I mean, there's really no excuse in it. And at the very least, dress warm. If there's a blizzard coming, if you're going to take that chance and be out on the road, dress warm, bring a coat, bring a toboggan, throw it in the back seat. You would be surprised how many people don't even do that. It's nuts to me. Prepper trucker. Anything under a quarter of a tank in much of the North may actually lead to uh, frozen fuel lines. Great comment. Another reason to keep your car gassed up or whatever vehicle you happen to be driving. Gas it up. There's no reason not to. Um, I get it. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. Nobody wants to fill up with gas. I don't want to fill up with gas, but you're going to have to at some point. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and gas going to be 99 cents. You're just fighting the inevitable at that point. If you know a weather event is coming, gas it up. Try to get there before the gas. There's a reason that they have gas lines an hour before a blizzard hits or any significant weather event. Don't wait until an hour before. Just get in that mindset. As somebody said this morning, half tank, fill it up. Half tank, fill it up. You get in that mindset, it's not hard to stay caught up on that. And finally, be all that you can be. Left a comment and said, prep can openers. Great prep. You should have plenty of can openers, whether they're the very small military style or let me check. May have one on my keychain here, folks, to actually show you. Or, the standard can openers. And I do right there. Um, having said that, and you should prep, when we're putting food buckets together, for example, we'll just throw one of the small in each one. I mean, they're right there on top. But in a truly Mad Max situation, as long as you have knives, you can get into a can. It's going to be crude and it's going to take longer. I'm not saying it's an overrated prep. You absolutely need can openers. They're up there with candles and stuff. They're very cheap, but they will fail on you. So you do need some backup options. Anyway, folks, that's your comments from this morning. Truly appreciate it. This has been the rundown, episode number 3. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments. Take care and God bless.